Flow like water, flow like water, flow like water.
My name is Britt Liggett, and we're here as part of the DYCD at Home filmmaking series for the DYCD Film Festival. And I'm talking with Yuan-Vogel, who's a cinematographer in New York, and he's worked on documentary and narrative and commercial work. So Noah, tell me a little bit about why you love filmmaking.
I really like working with directors and understanding and helping problem solve and taking ideas and making them visual and helping people who have a great vision figure out how to put that on screen and how to get it done with money, no money, some equipment, some crew, no crew, you know, all the different limitations that exist. I love problem solving and figuring out how to make it look as good as it can. Creativity in terms of not just the storytelling, but in terms of like ingenuity and figuring out how to use something that you found at Home Depot or something that you found in your basement and find a way to make it work. Because when it comes to filmmaking, we're always creating little problems of, oh, I want the camera to do this, or I want people to feel this way, or I want to have this look. How do I achieve that with whatever's in front of me, given whatever I have? Everyone has limitations, no matter who you are. Don't be afraid to grab a table lamp, a floor lamp, bounce something. If it has a nice big shade, or that can be really nice looking on your talent, your actors. If you just turn off a couple lights, sometimes that can help a lot. You want it to look as pristine as possible. And these cameras can look really good if you give them enough light. There's all kinds of different lights that you can use, anything in your house. The only thing you have to be a little careful about is mixing sometimes, especially on the high contrast phones. The colors can look very bright, and if you mix daylight with some indoor light, potentially it could look off. In some ways, you have a lot more options in a house or an apartment because you have all these lights that are at eye level. If everything's lit from the top, whoever you're shooting might not be that happy with the way they look if they have circles around their eyes. Don't be afraid to take a light and move it closer to your subject, especially for a close-up. That kind of contrast, you can pop out your subject a little bit more, make them feel a little brighter. It draws the audience's eye to them. A lot of different ways of getting different kinds of light. Basically, bounce light is one of the ways of creating softer light. If you put a lamp with a shade like the one behind me, see that like this stuff, that's bounce right there. That's a soft source coming from that light, and then there's bounce on either side of it. But if you took off that shade, it would mostly just be there'd be a little bulb that we'd be putting off like a very harsh light. It's usually good to try to use larger, softer sources if you can. Color temperature is just a way of measuring the color of a light. Blue light, which is daylight, tungsten, things in that range that are warmer. Indoor light is often tungsten. It's warm, yellow-orange. If your background's all daylight and you have a warm light lighting your subject, your talent, your actor, you could end up with a very orange looking person, which most people who are on camera don't want to see, and most audiences would be distracted by potentially. If you want something that's sort of neutral looking, it's helpful to use similar colored lights that have a similar color temperature. If you have important dialogue, if you have important lines that someone's saying on the camera, they shouldn't be more than an arm's length away from the camera itself. Otherwise it starts feeling echoey. You start hearing all kinds of things like the sound of their voice bouncing off the walls, which everyone recognizes it when it sounds hollow and echoey or distant. I do go through a lot of processes to get inspiration for looks. You want something to be cold, but how cold do you make it? And how did it work for this film? If you want it to look blue, or if you just want bright colors, you have a shot that you want to reproduce, and you switch back to the camera right on your phone. You could be doing it, and you could just look at it and see, oh, that's the framing I want. People are constantly reproducing the same framing, the same lighting, all these things that. Everything you can think of, most of it's been done before. In our history of film, it's been done in amazing ways. Those are all resources we should use. If you need to copy it, but you add your own flavor to it.
Flow like water, flow like water. I've been away, this shit feel great. Flow like water.